Jimmy Thompson and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don, or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Give them a shot to do what?
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don All Sports podcast presented by Give Us a Shot Network. I am the Don, Donato Bucci. And remember to please subscribe to us. We can be found on all of the major platforms and everywhere you find all of your other favorite podcasts. And remember to leave us a 5-star review. And also remember to subscribe to the Give Us a Shot YouTube channel. Tonight, we have a little bit of everything. We're going to talk about Olympic hockey, some NBA, some NFL. So without any further ado, let me welcome in everyone's favorite, JT, Jimmy Thompson. How you feeling today?
Hey, man, I'm just happy you made time out of your busy schedule to actually come and do your job and do the show.
Yeah,
I'm really getting tired of begging you to come on here for like 30, 40 minutes. But I know you're a superstar. You're in high demand locally. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for finally taking the time to do the show, man. I don't know what we would do without you.
Well, you're welcome. You know, it must be nice when you got a 4-year contract extension and I'm still an at-will, show by show.
Yo, why you always throwing around these legal terms? We get it. You got lawyer experience. You don't got to come on here and show us up every time.
I didn't say all that. Thanks to our guy Germ right off the bat, watching from the firehouse. Appreciate you, man. Help me work on my 4-year contract extension that you got for JT. So JT, are you ready? We're going to start with some Olympic hockey. Is that all right with you?
Hey, look, man, you make the rules. You put it on here, so we got to talk about it.
I don't make the rules. It's your show. You
don't make the rules, but it's literally your question.
Your name goes first on the show. I don't make the rules.
It's just catchier.
All right, so both the women's and men's U.S. Olympic hockey teams brought home the gold. Shout out to them against Canada in overtime fashion. Not everyone, though, felt that the best men's team won the gold. So it leads us to the first question of the show that everyone basically has been asking since, I think, the conclusion of the men's final, even though you could have asked it after the women's final as well. So, JT, does Olympic hockey need to change their overtime parameters regarding the 3-on-3 format?
First of all, shout out to the men's hockey team for taking home gold. First time since, Don was in college, they won. So it's been a long time coming. But
46 years ago, yes, sir.
No, it was 1980?
1980.
1980. Let's say I wasn't even alive yet. Don was, I think, he just turned 21 then. So it's been a while.
Sophomore in college, I think.
So we're going to talk about this, but I think I read somewhere where IHF already came out and said they're not changing it. So I don't know if that's like set in stone. Will more criticism move them to reconsider it? But for the time being, it's not going to change. But I absolutely think it should change. First of all, this is the gold medal game. And let's be real, out of all the Olympics, whether it's, winter or summer, hockey is like one of the most popular events. Like, at least here, Canada, like people care about it. Russia, people care about it. So you're in the biggest game, gold, in one of the most popular Olympic sports, and you're not playing all the players. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, you want the best of the best, your guys against our guys, the way we play the regular game, and we see who wins. Like, I don't know if they're doing this to avoid shootouts or they're trying to cut down time by not having extra innings of play. But look, this gold on the line. We only get to do this once every 4 years. So who cares if they play for 2 more hours? Like, you don't think the fans would enjoy that? So I definitely think they should change it.
I feel like only Canada is really complaining about it because they lost twice in this format. So we're going to change everything for Canada in terms of the hockey rules of overtime. Listen, the U.S. women's team was the better team. I mean, they were by far the most dominant team in the whole tournament. So, if they had lost in OT, I would still technically have the same opinion, as this one, in that all the teams knew the rules going into it, JT. They all knew. And some of their federations, their hockey federations or associations, may have had some say in it as well in terms of what the rules would be. I'm sure they could have contested it if they wanted in terms of beforehand. So you've got to be prepared for that. Practice that. The two teams, U.S. and Canada, on both sides, the women's side and the men's side, it's going to be very competitive, probably going into overtime. So, you should have been prepared for it. Now, while I would prefer more of a 4-on-4 format, that way you still have the offense, but a little bit more defense. Like Canada, what's that?
Still want that half-court feel. You don't want the game.
No, not quite. But I didn't mind it because, to me, Canada had plenty of opportunities to win the game in regulation. I mean, they had a 2-man advantage for about a minute and a half. They had the great save by Hallebuck in, I believe, the third period, I believe. So, they had plenty of opportunities. The 5-on-5, to me, that could go on forever, if we're being honest. And we see that in the NHL playoffs. And while, that's fun to see in the NHL playoffs every once in a while, like once a year, no one wants to see a 5-hour game for the Olympic gold. I'm serious about that.
Now, I want to push back and ask you this. Do you not want to see this because you want to get, I feel like most countries want to get out of there with the gold medal win, and it's like, hey, if this is the shortened way to do it and we survive it, cool, we're fine with that. In the NHL, I feel like they want longer games because nobody really wants to see their team go home. They want to have all the time on the board. If it's extra time, we want all that extra time needed to win a playoff game, where it's like, all right, Olympics, maybe they just want to escape and get the gold. But I mean, we won. I'm happy. I'm not complaining about that. But I can see the other side of this. It's like, all right, we played the entire game the regular way, and then when it comes to the most important time of the game, I got to remove two players.
But you knew that going in.
I get it, but when you're talking about for future reference, obviously they've done it this way for a minute.
The pushback I would give is these guys are in the middle of their NHL season. We don't want them to play a quarterfinals game 5-on-5 that goes for 5 hours, a semifinal game that goes
because we care about the NHL season more than the Olympics.
Not necessarily. I don't know about this situation. To get to the finals, to play Canada, haven't won a gold in 46 years. I don't know. I was pretty invested in it, and I'm a Penguins fan, and we believe we should win the cup every year. So
we believe in excellence. You're not winning the title. You don't matter to us.
This was definitely, important. I mean, there's no doubt.
All right, so I think they should consider changing it. Don's like, hey, man, stop complaining. Leave it the way it is.
That's right. But congrats to both. But congrats to both U.S. teams. Great job. Great finish.
Honestly, I feel like this Winter Olympics was all around just more interesting than usual. I found myself watching everything, things I necessarily wouldn't watch, luge, skeleton. I was like, all that stuff was great. I mean, even though the freestyle snowboarding and stuff. So I don't know.
Would you do the skeleton? Would you do the skeleton?
Hell no. As a matter of fact, it was funny. I was watching the skeleton with my in-laws, and I'm like, I'll get so many videos on social media. It's only of skeleton fails. So it's people flying off the course, off the little, I don't know what they call it, whatever the little, I call it the sleigh that they ride on. So no, they're going 80 miles an hour with just headgear. You could easily fall off that. That's like getting in a car wreck with no car. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. It's rough. That's impressive though.
And obviously, I wouldn't do the tandem one because if I had to rely on you to drive, I know you really can't see where you're going. So that's a double no right there.
I'd purposely,
You gonna purposely end it for both of us out of spite? That's how I know you a terrible co-host. He's like, I'm gonna crash into this wall going 80 miles an hour just because.
As I said, if I don't win, no one gets to win.
Yeah, that's why you don't win. All right, so let's talk about the real hot topic, which is NBA tanking. It seems like everybody's talking about this topic lately, and more so how the NBA can improve it. So I want to ask you, one, is tanking a really big issue, or is the media making more of it than it really is? And if so, how can the NBA fix it?
Well, since we're part of the media, I don't want to give the media a bad rap, But I will say,
man, you give yourself a lot of high praise, man. I don't know. There's some people that wouldn't agree that you've earned that title, but Go ahead.
We're not part of the media. I feel like we are.
You're not part of the media.
You got to fake it till you make it. Listen, it has been going on, meaning tanking, since at least the early 80s, the mid 80s. Do you know why they implemented the lottery, JT? Do you know how that came about?
You're going to tell us?
I'm going to tell you. The early 1980s Houston Rockets, they tanked and got the number 1 overall pick in 83 for Ralph Sampson. They did it again in 80 to get the number 1 pick in 84 to draft who? Hakeem Olajuwon. The 85 draft came around, and what happened? There was a lottery. So this has been going on for a good 40 years now. And the difference to me is there's more games on television these days. So people are exposed. There's much more exposure. Everyone can see games. The tickets cost more. Player salaries are high. And social media. Like, just to name a few things of why we feel like tanking is, a big issue. I just think it's kind of being made a big deal for something to talk about, because the thing is, and what I mean by social media is there's highlights 24/7. You can hear other media members talk 24/7 about it anytime that you want. And you're always around it. We're around it a lot. We're around it so much. And it's like, I just think that they're making a big deal about it. Listen, your team, if your team is not ready to win a title, you probably should want them to tank. Like, I know that sounds terrible as a fan.
It's like the middle, you don't want to be the Steelers of the sport, where it's like not bad enough to get, franchise changing talent, but not good enough to win a championship.
Because the thing is, you look at the history of it. How the Houston Rockets eventually win 2 titles? Because they got Hakeem Olajuwon. Orlando, how did they get on the map as a franchise? They got Shaq at number 1. Zion with New Orleans is keeping that franchise going. Wemby with the Spurs. Yes, and you talk about back in the day, Tim Duncan. They had one bad year, and they got Tim Duncan. So it's like, how do you build a true dynasty these days in the NBA? Through the draft. And listen, my issue, and I've told you this before, my biggest issue is not tanking.
Hold on. Before I feel like you got like a personal gripe with this. I know you say it's not the tanking, but you feel like you want to go. If you go to a game, all the stars got to be playing.
Well, this is what I'm gonna say. If it's October, November, December, January,
pre-All-Star break,
and yes, and it is a high marquee game in terms of superstars, I want them to play. If I had the option to say, do you want to get rid of tanking, or do you want the marquee star players to play as many possible games as possible? I'm taking the latter. I went to a game, and I've told you this, I have not been back since. I was in New Orleans. I went to a Pelicans-Warriors game.
That's a first mistake going to a game where Zion's in it.
No, he actually played. Believe it or not. But the problem was the Warriors sent home Steph Curry, Draymond, and Clay. The game was a 30-point blowout by halftime. How do you justify that? That's my problem.
Who was up by 30 points?
New Orleans. So my point, JT, is I don't have a problem with tanking, because the difference is when the Wizards tank, they put all these young guys in, and they're playing hard. They're fighting for a roster spot. They're trying to get picked up by another team. But it's when you go to a December game, you buy a ticket for a Wednesday night because LeBron's in town. Now, he doesn't miss many games unless he's truly hurt. So I'll use like Milwaukee, for example. Milwaukee's in town, and they're playing the Wizards, and you sit Giannis. It's like, well, what was the point of going to the game, and why were tickets triple the price than usual? It's because Giannis was coming to town. It's because KD was coming back home, and he doesn't play. Now, I'm not saying that KD has done that in terms of in Washington, but I'm just saying in general. I go to a game in New Orleans, and I haven't been back to an NBA game since, because the Warriors decided to sit all 3 superstars. Like, to me, that's unexcusable. Like, I'm sorry.
Damn.
That's what they have to figure out.
How long ago was this?
That was, oh man, I want to say that was like November.
Over under 10 years.
Oh, no, under.
Damn, I feel like you've been harboring this anger toward the NBA for that long. I feel like you should give it another try and go to another game. Give it another shot. I'll
eventually go. I'll go see the Wizards, who are
because they got Ant and Trey.
But they're tanking. But you're going to see young guys that are playing hard, and that is fine with me. It's when you sit the true superstars when they're only in town once. Like, how many times do you really get to see Zion against the big 3 when they were still somewhat on the edge of their prime? Like
well, you can't see it anymore now. But
exactly.
I get it. There's only limited opportunities to see greatness. That's why, like, honestly, when the Heat were in that prime with the big three with Braun, Wade, and Bosh, like, and they went at all those teams, and I feel like players weren't sitting as much as they are now. Like, that's why those games cost so much, and that's why people paid the cost to be in the building, because you knew you were seeing something crazy. Even some of the games we used to go to when we were in Miami, like, they still played hard. Like when we went to the Thunder game, and it was Russ, KD, like those guys were still playing. Like everybody was playing.
Harden was still there, I believe.
Yeah, and you got a crazy game. Like you seeing everything. So I do feel like when you're used to seeing stuff like that and you're paying for a game, it's hard to go to a scenario where you're talking about where it's like, all right, the whole other team is just sitting everybody and they're playing guys that I've never even heard of. So I do agree that does take away from your experience.
Yeah. I mean, what are you just agree? All right, I like it. I like it.
I will say this. I agree. I do think the NBA does have a tanking problem. Like it's clear as day. And you and I talk about this around this time every year, the NBA season. Like it's gotten to the point where it's not even the stars are sitting. It gets to the point where after they sit the stars, any guy that could potentially win you a game is also going to sit.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I think the bigger issue in the NBA is tanking is the problem, but I think the big underlying root is it's just hard for bad NBA teams to have a pathway to get better. Like tanking is really the only way you can do it. Like think about it this way. The draft. Like that is the only sport I can think of where if you don't have the worst record, like you still have a pretty good odds to get the number one pick and get the best player. And we know in basketball, once you get outside of that lottery, it's basically a crapshoot. In some drafts, it's even worse. Like if you're not picking in the top 4, it's a crapshoot. So you don't have avenues to get better. The draft is one of them. Also, they have to fight a salary cap. And then on top of that, the CBA, maybe that's something they'll change in the future. They also make it hard for teams to find gems in younger players because they prioritize teams having older veterans that make more that may not be as beneficial to winning, i.e. having a DeAndre Jordan on your roster rather than giving somebody like a young guy on the Wizards an opportunity to get more minutes. Like that also holds teams back from getting better. So I think if the NBA can find better pathways to making bad teams have an easier route to, going from worse to better, I think that's when you'll start to see tanking go away because it's hard. Like, look how hard the Thunder had to work to get to where they are now. How many years they shut guys down? How many times did they have to trade anything they had for a million draft picks like 10 years in the future? Like they really had to go through that whole process. And it works, but their fans went through hell for that whole entire time.
But to me, if I'm the Orlando Magic, think about it. Never have won a title. I'm a Magic fan, right? Have never won a title. I think been around since 88. They've had a couple good runs. And that's because they drafted Shaq number 1 overall and they drafted Dwight Howard number 1 overall. Everything else in between, they've been mediocre to terrible at best. And like the problem is that you need to go that route the way Oklahoma City did. And as a fan, I would gladly say be terrible for 3 years if you're going to give us the next 8 to 9 years and have legit runs at the title. And that's what Oklahoma City's doing right now. I'd rather be in that position than what Orlando has, continues to do, at least beforehand.
Yeah, but you're saying that as a person who doesn't live in that city and has had to go through those games and sit through it. But you be complaining. This is your Warriors and Pelicans game scenario, except the Thunder fans had to live that every game.
But the difference is they didn't have superstars to sit. So who cares?
They did. They have good players.
When did they have superstars that they were sitting though? They were trying to win when they had Westbrook and Paul George. Like they had
Shea. I feel like they were sitting for like 3 years every time that the All-Star break rolled around.
No.
They not?
Let's go. TJ says tanking to get better. Tanking is to get better draft picks. We get rid of tanking. If we get rid of tanking, it doesn't mean the draft goes away. We need a way to stop incentivizing tanking, but still help the weak teams. And that's exactly what the NBA is trying to figure out.
That's a good segue. So he asked the question. So how does the NBA stop teams from tanking?
I I don't think you should, because if you change something dramatically,
but then you can't say that and then complain about your NBA game experience.
I'm not complaining about tanking. Again, you're missing the point between tanking and then benching your guys in November when you're going to make a championship run.
I feel like you're playing semantics at that point. The point is the best players aren't on the court.
JT, the difference is this league is a superstar driven league.
Okay, so
I'm sorry to say, hold on.
Let me ask this question.
I need to explain it.
Why does tanking get a bad rap, but not as bad as rap as people that are trying to save their guys for the playoffs? Like, why? Because you're both sitting guys that can physically play.
My thing is, I understand sitting guys every once in a while. I mean, you got to be somewhat of a believer in load management, but to say that every week we're going to sit two guys in their superstars. The difference is it's a superstar-driven league. Listen, Franz Wagner, great player. He's not a superstar. If he goes into Washington and doesn't play.
You say that in this city about him and Paolo, you might not leave. So I'm just warning you. Just be careful what you say.
I'm a Magic fan, but I've always said this. If we could trade those two guys for Ant, do it. Because Ant is a superstar. He's the next face of the league. He's one of the faces of the league. Paolo and Franz are great players, but they're going to need a superstar to win a title, to be a dynasty. Like, I'm sorry, those guys are not the faces of the league. So if we roll into Washington as the Magic and Franz doesn't play, not many people in the arena are going to be upset. If KD or Ant comes into the building and doesn't play, people are going to be upset. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know?
So how do they? So your answer to the question is don't fix it. Leave it how it is.
I told you, if you overcompensate for something else is going to go wrong that then you have to fix again. Like, they did it with the load management. They said, you know what we're going to do? You've got to play 65 games to win an award, right? But what's happening is that you're seeing it with like Shea or Jokic. Like, they're not going to hit the
number of games to qualify for the award.
But they've truly been injured. It's been a real injury. It has nothing to do with load management. So it's like, you know, that's my issue is if you overcompensate, then something else is going to go wrong.
All right. So I get what you're saying, but I feel on the other end of this spectrum of this conversation is you do have to address tanking because, one, people are going to keep talking about it like us until you do something about it, or you come off as you are trying to make a concerted effort to where teams are not obviously doing it. So I think things that the NBA can do to remedy this, or at least make it seem like they are, is first of all, you got to fix the draft. If you're going to have a lottery, you got to fix that. I don't know if it's like a certain position in the draft, maybe let's say top 6, like you lock that lottery order, let's say sometime during midseason, whether it's the All-Star break or the trade deadline, like you lock in those top 6 picks. Whoever those top 6 picks are, they got it. And then everybody else, they still got to kind of compete for the play-in. If you're not good, then, oh, well, then you're going to fall in line where your normal draft spot would be. But they got to find a way to fix the draft order. And then also, too, I think what will also remedy tanking is the consecutive amount of times you can pick inside the top 3 or 4. Because I think that also is what's annoying to fans. Like you mentioned, you know, the Rockets did it with Olajuwon. The Thunder basically did it for, I feel like, 4 or 5 years. The Sixers did it to get Embiid and Simmons and all those guys. Like, I think when you have teams consistently picking inside the top 3 or 4 consecutively, I think maybe there needs to be some sort of like cap on that too. Let's say like you can only pick inside the top 4 like for 3 or 4 straight years. And then if you happen to fall into that category again after that, it's something where like you're outside the top like 6 and you know you got to get in the odds just like everybody else. I think stuff like that will help. And then we talked about this offline before. Like, I feel like you can trade first round picks like into like perpetuity at this point. Like, you could trade 30 years in the future. It's like insane. Like, put a limit on that shit. Like 3 years max, maybe. And I think you'll start to have teams that will take the immediate future more seriously. Because if you know you're going to be bad and you don't feel like paying players and you know you ain't going to luxury tax as an owner, like, what's stopping you from kicking the can down the road for 6 years? Like, there's no incentive to stop them from doing that. So I think if they fix the draft, you know, put some limits on draft picks, maybe even the protected ones, I think that will lessen the blow of teams trying to directly tank.
So TJ says he authored a research paper that takes the approach carryover lottery allocation COLA. So in brief, that teams get lottery tickets and those tickets carry over from year to year, and teams don't get more lottery tickets for losing more games, meaning no tanking. And then stockpiles are reduced to a degree when a team wins the lottery or wins in the playoffs. Listen, JT, I think we got to get TJ on the show to break it down.
But I would love to ask TJ this question. Is that goes back to my original point. You're just creating another block for bad teams to get better. Like, because I think we're under the assumption that NBA teams are only bad when they tank. Some teams just suck because ownership is bad. They make the wrong draft choice. They don't develop guys.
Injuries, so like true injuries catch up.
True injuries. Like, look at the Wizards. Like, you would think they had John Wall and Bradley Beal. Like, those guys, when they're healthy, they're probably top 15 NBA players, but they just were never healthy together. Like, sometimes that happens. The Wizards were bad because of bad fortune, not necessarily they were trying to be bad. So you still gotta make it easier for teams that fall on hard times to get better. But I like what he's saying. I love to talk more with him about it, like you said. You said you don't want to fix tanking. I don't know why you're looking at me.
I'm ready for the next question. You're gonna see. No, I thought
you were gonna complain more about not seeing stars play the game. All right, so
that's separate. That is separate than tanking. How many times I got to tell you?
So let's talk about the guys that are actually playing, and not just about tanking. So who would you want leading your franchise for the next decade? Now, I didn't put him in there, but Wemby's on this list, Cade Cunningham, Ant, you already mentioned, and then the newbie Cooper Flag. Out of those four guys, who are you taking to build your franchise around for the next decade?
Who you think I'm taking? You already.
Are you taking Ant? Because I feel like you at this point you should have an Ant jersey.
Of course. Listen, dynasties revolve around those guards who can create, defend, get to the bucket whenever they want, all that stuff, right? Like, no offense to the centers, because there's been some great ones in the history, but recently in the past, like 25 years, even 25 years, right? Like, the centers these days, their dynasties are unable to be built around them. Like, look at Denver, one title, JT, and listen, Jokic ain't gonna be able to play.
And he's the best player, like, maybe of our next era after LeBron. Like, it's Jokic.
And he's such a different center, right? He can pass, shoot, do all of that. Listen, other than Shaq with the dynasty in the last quarter century, like, and even he had Kobe, right? Even he had Kobe, but you look at AD, no. Cat, no. Like, I just, Embiid. All those, like, Jokic, Cat, AD, and Embiid, 2 titles among those 4 guys. That's it. And no dynasties. So, like, you look at Ant's stats, he scores more, he's a better 3-point field goal percentage shooter, and more assists per game than Wemby. Because I think the only other one you really can talk about right now is Wemby. And so to me, it's Ant against Wemby. And like I said, scores more, better 3-point shooter, more assists. If Wemby didn't get so many blocks, JT, like, we wouldn't even be having this debate. Wemby would essentially just be Rudy Gobert that can score. Like, that can score.
I was like, oh, God, that's so terrible.
Like, Jokic even has better stats than, like, Wemby when you look at it. Plus, to me, Ant is, over the course of his career, is going to play more games than Wemby, stay healthier. And Anthony Edwards is what Jerry West would kind of tell himself. Like, he doesn't want to just be a dog. He wants to be a wolf. Like, he wants to own the league. He wants to destroy the league. And that's what I get from Anthony Edwards. Like you saw in the All-Star game, right? Like, he's coming for it. He's coming for you. So to me, I think Ant will be better long-term.
All right, so this is actually a really interesting question. I feel like by default, Cooper Flag is out just because we haven't seen enough. So I think his future is bright. I think he probably would be the second best defender of this group just naturally, but I just can't put him above the other 3. Wemby, I think, would be the answer. But to me, if we're talking about who I'm building around for the next decade, I need somebody that's going to be healthy. And he's had some health issues that are, I feel like, non-basketball type injury related, where it's like, all right, cool, I can, plan around this guy. And then one day out of the blue, he just turns into a Chris Bosh situation where, he can't play anymore. The NBA won't clear him to play. So that kind of stuff worries me with him. But I think you're right. I feel like he was supposed to take this like elevated path, and it's really kind of plateaued. And if it wasn't for the freakish like blocks, we would be talking about him different. So to me, it comes down to Cade versus Ant. And I agree with you on Ant from the standpoint of the scoring. Like, I mean, he's a microwave. He can heat it up. He's improved 3-point shooting. I think he's shooting at somewhere like 40% this year. So, I mean, he is a dog. I'm not knocking him at all. But I'm looking at longevity. And to me, I want to go Cade just because same size, and he's a facilitator. Like, he's second in the league in assists behind the guy you just mentioned, Jokic. Like, give me 26, 27 points, 10 assists, and 6 boards, plus maybe a steal in the block a game. That's what I want. And I feel like Ant has also a little bit of health issues too, because I see him sitting out games every now and then where he's hurt. I don't know if they're sitting him or he's actually hurt, but I feel like I very rarely see Cade sit out. But Ant, I feel like for the past like 3 years, has like missed games here and there where I'm like, all right, is he really hurt? Can I rely on him for a decade? Whereas like I think Cade Cunningham's skill set applies better to building a roster that can win an NBA championship. Like, he's the guy, if you have on your roster, you can, surround him with guys that maybe aren't superstars, like your boy Wagner in Orlando, or maybe a Paolo. Like, if Cade was on Orlando, I think they'd be a favorite to win the title just because you have him on your team. He's a great facilitator. He makes everyone better. I can count on him for majority of the games, sans tanking, and I can rely on that production for the next decade. It's the same thing with Jokic. Like, if Jokic was in here, they would have the similar skill set. They can play 1 through 5, and I know he's going to get the guys the ball in the easy situations. Or if I need him to take over a game, he can do that too. I think that's the only difference between him and Ant is the availability and the ability to be a facilitator. Because with Ant, I know he can put up 50, but can he also have a game where he can get another player or two involved and get them off to where you need them and have that dynamic to win a game?
And that's
so
fine.
That's why I'm going Cade. Because I feel like his game translates longer term, and I can count on that for a decade, and I don't have to do as much on my team. I
will give you he's the better facilitator, but when the guy can score buckets like Ant, I think nowadays, like, you need to have a guy like Ant that can do that. And when you talk about durability, I mean, JT, Cade Cunningham, he's no spring chicken, 1, and 2, he's been injured. 64 games his rookie year, 12 his sophomore year in Detroit, third year, 62 games. Finally, last year got to 70. First time.
But that's the point that I was trying to make too, is I don't know if Cade missed those games because he was truly hurt or the Pistons were just a shit franchise trying to tank.
I think he played 12 games his second year.
They were that hurt. Do you remember how bad the Pistons were? Like,
he was hurt.
Like, they're going to be the worst team already.
He got injured in 22-23. Come on, he played 12 games out of 82. That's not load management.
I get what you're saying, but if it wasn't the Pistons, would he have come back at some point?
Before this year, the last 2 years, Ant's played 79 games each season. Come on. Like, look up the stats.
He's always sitting out these random
games. Hurt. He missed
six
games. He's missed 6 games the last 2 years. 6 games the last 2 years.
Did he not? How many games did he miss this year? He's
played in like 48, and they've played 50 something.
I feel like he's missed more, man. It feels like he's missed more. I don't know. Maybe he's leaving halfway through. I feel like he's missed more.
Do your research. Look up the stats next.
He seems hurt to me, but I'm going Cade.
Let's go. And you're wrong. And let's go to the NFL. So, no show is complete for JT without talking some football. His name's first on the show. He decided. I didn't make. You definitely did.
I didn't make this question.
I'll show you the text messages, people. JT, he thinks he knows how to play poker. So this segment is for him. The fold 'em or hold 'em segment. I mean, I know that's the poker thing. Fold 'em or hold 'em, right? Hold 'em or fold 'em, right? So this is the fold 'em or hold 'em segment for JT, all right, in his poker playing days. So we will name a team, and then we will answer if that team should move on from their current franchise QB or their starting QB, or hang on to them for another season. All right, JT, you got it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's see if we can fly through these, all right, because we got about 6 teams here. Seven teams. All right, let's start with Arizona. Kyler Murray.
I think you got to fold. He's 38, 48, and 1 with 1 playoff loss in his tenure with the Cardinals.
That used to be your guy. You pounded the table for that guy to get an extension. You pounded the table for that guy to get an extension.
Like, his best season was 9-6. I feel like if this were Kirk Cousins, we wouldn't even be questioning it. I think they got to fold.
I agree. I think they got to fold. Sometimes it's best for both sides to just go their separate ways. Listen, I still think Kyler is a franchise QB. I'd like to see him in black and gold here for the Steelers. But I think sometimes best to go both ways. I agree, fold. All right, your Miami Dolphins. Who you got?
Look, man, speaking of text messages, I told you this when it happened multiple times. I was like, do not extend Tua until he does something really, really valuable and shows that he's the guy, because you are stacking too much talent around him to where we don't know if it's the talent or it's him. Well, guess what? We found the answer. It was the talent. It was never him. Fold. Like, since signing him to that extension, he's thrown for 20 touchdowns just once. Like, $215 million for 20 touchdowns in the season just once. It's too many injuries, and his skills on the field have clearly been in decline. So you got to fold. He gives us no chance to win a playoff game, especially if we're playing on the road.
Yeah, I really like Tua. You know that.
I do too.
I'm gonna say fold, and I wouldn't even be worried about the cap hit. We saw the Denver Broncos. They got rid of Russ, took that big cap hit.
They paid his ass to go away.
And now look. So nowadays we've seen you don't really got to worry about that dead cap hit anymore, man. Like some teams are taking $80 million cap hits and they're winning 6-7 games. So listen, you got to fold on Tua. Hate to say it, especially with the new coach. If McDaniel was still there, I would say, hey, let's stick it out, but got to fold there as well. The Atlanta Falcons and Michael Penix.
I don't want to say this, man, because I feel like it's too early. I don't want to say he's not it because we haven't seen enough. But I think the thing that worries me about Michael Penix, and this is why I'm saying fold, is it's not because he's making mistakes. Like, he has low turnovers. I think he has 6 interceptions through 14 games, and like his turnover-worthy plays are low. He just seems either he's limited or he's risk averse. Like, I saw a crazy stat where they were saying like he only threw 10 passes the whole year between the hashes. I'm like, how do you do that with Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts on the field? Like, you only threw 10 passes the whole year between the hashes. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, you don't want to take the chances, or you scared. Like, but you're not seeing the defense. Something is telling me he's not comfortable, and he's so young that I'm like, all right, maybe he just needs more time. But usually with young quarterbacks, like, I want to see this. You could make mistakes, but I want you to show upside. Like, I don't care if Michael Penix throws an interception, like, but I want to see that he has the upside to have those big games, and he's not showing me that. So I'm going to say fold for those reasons.
No, man. Listen, to me, it's a hold. You got to see this through at this point. Like, you've got to see this.
Yes.
I think you've got to see it through in terms of, can you get him healthy? Like, we already knew the injuries may be a problem for him. I think at this point, I do think, though, you got to start to have a backup plan, right? Like, you do have to start to have a backup plan, but this year's a little too early to fold it on Penix. So I would say hold. JT, our guy Scotty, he's back watching. He says basically the cap is a joke. The salary cap in the NFL is a joke. If you can't figure out how to get around it, you shouldn't be a GM. I mean, that's why you have like capologists on your team too, right? In your front office to figure all that out. But Scotty, great to have you back. JT, next team, Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders.
All right. So, I like Shedeur, but this answer has nothing to do with him per se. It's more about the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to say hold, just because I don't trust the Browns to redo this and get remotely close to the same result they got this last year with Shedeur. Like, Watson is done. Dylan Gabriel is not it. Clearly, he's not a starting quarterback. And this upcoming draft class is bad. So you have to roll with Shedeur one more year. And if he sucks, then all right, you just reset in 27. But I just don't trust the Browns to pivot from this situation and not be worse. So I'm going to say hold.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with hold. And you were onto something there. Like, to me, he's a hold. And the Browns, really, for the first time, they win out no matter what happens. If Todd Monken comes in and gets it right with him, great. You've got your franchise QB. If Shedeur sucks for whatever reason, guess what? You're going to be picking in the top 3 again. It's a win-win if you hold. So he's barely anything against the cap. So you got to hold. The Minnesota Vikings and your guy, J.J. McCarthy.
No, that shit was tough too because he looked terrible last year. Like, ain't no way to cut it. But like I said with Michael Penix, when you're young, you can make mistakes, but I want to see upside. Show me upside. And it's the same scenario. First-year starter, like he literally had like super high peaks and super low valleys through 10 games. I think there was like 5 games where he had multiple turnovers. So there's your mistakes part. But he also had 4 games where he had at least 3 touchdowns. So there's the upside. So I'm seeing both. So what that tells me is I want to see another offseason with him and Kevin O'Connell. And I want to see also a year where his receiving core is not leading the league in drop rate. I just want to see him with a different set of circumstances. Another year with another offseason under his belt. They're working on his mechanics, whatever. And I want to see if those games where he's scoring all those touchdowns, if he can start to do that more than the games where he's turned over the ball. So I would say hold.
Yeah, I'm going to say hold. And the biggest reason is Kevin O'Connell. Like if Kevin O'Connell is as good as they say, then he's got to get this right because there's no way in the world you're telling me that it was only the previous GM who got fired in Minnesota, that it was only his decision to let Darnold leave and stick with McCarthy. You know Kevin O'Connell had a big say in that. So for me, because of Kevin O'Connell, you got to hold. You got to make it work with JJ because if it doesn't, guess what? Next guy out the door along with JJ is who? JT?
Yep.
Kevin O'Connell. All right, Indianapolis Colts. Now, we're going to go with Daniel Jones here since he's the starter and he has more of kind of that contract there.
I would say hold just because Daniel Jones showed enough pre-injury to feel comfortable rolling with him when he's healthy. Like, and look at the Colts situation. You lost 2 first-round picks in the Sauce Gardner trade with the Jets. So, it's kind of hard to, like, reinvest in another quarterback anyway because you just don't have the ammo. And let's be real. Like, I know he had the Achilles injury, and I know it's hard to bounce back recently. Like, you see Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, and even Deshaun Watson. Like, it's tough to bounce back with that Achilles. But at least Daniel Jones, to me, I feel like he hasn't been running for a while. Like, ever since he got hurt the first time with the ACL with the Giants, I feel like running hasn't been a big part of his game. So maybe it won't be as big a factor going forward. But I feel like just based on what we've seen from him the last year in that system, I feel like he got to hold and run it back.
Yeah, you definitely got to hold it. I mean, he was MVP caliber type player prior to the injury. Shane Steichen's.
Hey, hold on, man. First of all, if you're going to say some shit like that, look up at the camera and, say it with your whole chest. MVP caliber?
I didn't smile. Straight face.
Nah, you look down. It's all
right, we're playing poker. I got a poker face there.
Terrible poker face.
Like, listen, Daniel Jones, got to hold him. I mean, Shane Steichen, offensive guy. Let's see what Jones can do if he can stay healthy. They still got Jonathan Taylor there. Like, they've got the pieces, right? And to
good old line.
To prove my point even more, once Daniel Jones went out, the season went downhill. So what else? How else are you going to do any better at that position if you're the Colts? You're not drafting all that high. And do you believe in Anthony Richardson? Doesn't seem like it. So you got to hold with Daniel Jones and run it back and give him one more year. All right, last one, JT, on the hold 'em or fold 'em segment. Philadelphia Eagles. How did this one make the list?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm tired of seeing this shit online. It's like, how bad are Philly fans?
Watch the language.
No, I'm serious. How bad are
Philly
like
fans? A Philly fan.
You got a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he was one mistake from winning you another Super Bowl, and you guys are like, oh, we don't think he's that good. Are you kidding me? You know how many teams would love to have Jalen Hurts? Give Sean McVay or Kevin O'Connell or Kyle Shanahan, give those guys Jalen Hurts and watch how much better those teams are. Like the things that Jalen Hurts has accomplished, despite the OC carousel, I feel like every year they get a new offensive coordinator, and every year it gets worse. The angry wide receiver one that hates being there, that he got to play with all 18 games. And like we talked about, the pressure of playing in Philly with those fans. Like you got all that, and the guy handles it without a peep, and you're still a Super Bowl contender every year. Like, what's higher than a hold? Like, Is it like I'm not even pulling this out the pocket. Like this is
royal
like staying
royal flush. You
this
throwing
should
it on
have
the
stayed
table?
in the garage. Like I'm
You're
not taking this
antsing
card
up.
out. Like
You're
he's your
up.
franchise quarterback. Be happy you got him and appreciate him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a whole, not even a question. I don't even know why that team is on this list. That's stuff that JT puts on there so he can sound smart. He can look smart.
Yeah, because people don't talk about Jalen Hurts not being good all the time.
It's not even a question. It's a hold. It's a hold. They're crazy if they move on. I mean, yeah. All right, so let's go to everyone's favorite segment. Forget about it or Fugazi. JT, the way it works is we'll read a statement. All right, we'll read an opinion. And if you agree with it, you think it's good, it's Fugazi. If you don't agree with it and you think it's trash, we're going to say Fugazi. All right. Forget about it or Fugazi. All right. First one, with Rondell Moore's untimely passing and Lindsey Vaughn's horrific Olympic injury situation, we need to reevaluate the mental pressure placed on athletes.
First of all, condolences to Rondell Moore and his family. I know, a lot of people might not, have seen him play. Maybe he hasn't been on a team that they root for, but I feel like we've loved him since Purdue. Like when he got in the league, we just like has high expectations for him. We love watching him play. He's always like one of those guys. We're always like, all right, man, we want him on our team. We like his game. But it's sad to hear about his passing. But I think this is forget about it.
He was always on one of our fantasy teams.
As a matter of fact, I feel like I got texts saying like, "Oh, like I know this is your guy." Like when they got the news, because they always know I'm like, "Oh, draft Rondell Moore. He's gonna break out this year." But yeah, I would say is forget about it, is because I feel like people don't understand what athletes go through, and I think they don't understand the pressure that is on them. So I think sometimes we just, because of gambling, video games, fantasy sports, we just look at athletes as, all right, they're just there and that's it. Like you don't see all the stuff they go through. Like this man had back-to-back devastating season-ending knee injuries, and you and I have had those same type of injuries, those same type of surgeries, those same type of recoveries. So, and we just have to go home and sit on the couch. Like these guys got to get back in the building and perform at a professional level. Like you don't think that weighs on their mental, and physical? That's a toll. And then Lindsey Vaughn, she tore her ACL, I feel like a couple weeks before, and she's out there trying to win the Olympics. I just feel like there's too much pressure, and I think there needs to be a shift to where it's like, look, it's okay if the athlete is not able to perform. Physically, if they can't do it, it's okay if you sit them out. I think they're too worried about the money and stuff like that. And if mentally they're not ready either, it's okay for them to sit out and get them help. They are people. They're not machines. And I think these two situations need to drive that home, and there needs to be some sort of shift in the way they're viewed in the public.
Yeah, it's forget about it. And we've known this for a while, right? With the mental pressures and what happens after someone's career, when the limelight is gone, that's tough. You and I, most people never have to deal with that, because I've always said this as just a non-professional athlete, right? You tend to think our lives are in a upward trajectory, right? You get the better job, hopefully you keep getting promotions and money increases, and then family and just all those different things, right? Potentially kids or whatever that might be. But for professional athletes at the highest level, when the lights are off and you're not in the media every day, you're not in the locker room, that's a tough adjustment. And now I think sports has taken steps to try to help athletes with that, which is good, but obviously not enough yet. And these are examples of where they can continue, and more needs to be done. I would also say, there is a difference, obviously, between Rondell's situation and Lindsey Vaughn's, whereas, we don't know the state of what Rondell was in. But with Lindsey Vaughn, we kind of look at that as more of that last Olympic hurrah.
Last hurrah, the pressure, wanting to go out and be great.
And internally knowing, this is what I love to do. If I'm gonna go out, I'm going out on this run, I'm giving it my all. And she basically said, kind of whatever happens. So obviously a difference there, but definitely forget about it. And definitely a sad situation with Rondell Moore.
All right, next one. The MLB needs a hard salary cap. Forget about it or Fugazi.
I think for me, it's both forget about it and Fugazi, because obviously that would be great. A hard salary cap would be great. But I still don't know if it solves everything. And two, how realistic is it? I never see the Players Association agreeing to it. What I think, the reason why I say Fugazi is because I think for right now, a floor would be better, because that would force teams like my Pirates, who I love, to spend money. A hard salary cap does not force them to spend anything. It just limits what the Dodgers and the Yankees can spend, right? The floor, I think, will help, and you can still have the luxury tax in the different tiers, so the Dodgers can get taxed on it and the whole revenue sharing. But if you put a floor, that's going to force teams like Tampa, the Pirates, Kansas City, Oakland to spend. And now that means everyone's salary goes up, players are more happy, and fans are going to be more happy, because it's like, hey, we've got to spend, we've got to get to the floor with 20 more million. Let's go get this pitcher if you're the Pirates. Let's go get this bat, where in the past they would have passed it up because it said, all right, we're just gonna keep our money and sit on it.
Yeah, I was kind of torn on this too, because I feel like I agree with you. Like, there needs to be some sort of salary cap to get the teams that are just in it just to collect the collective bargaining paycheck, like the Pirates, like my Marlins, that have no interest in spending money to be competitive, to get them to spend more money. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, it's Fugazi, because like you said, the MLBPA would never go for this. Like, any plan that limits what the players are earning, they'll go to the grave fighting for that. And then this is also bad timing too, because I think the CBA expires at the end of next year. So if they even try to push something like this,
it ends at the end of this upcoming
year. And I'm like, if you're pushing this, then that's almost guaranteed they're going to have a lockout in 27. So It's just bad timing. And then I feel like this also could affect, the revenue for the league, because like, I think people just assume, oh, it's a major sport, it's on TV. Like, this is not like the NFL. Like, there's a huge like market disparity amongst teams as far as like what they get from like media rights. Like, MLB heavily relies on the local, where it's like NFL, they get tons of national media revenue. So it's not a bigger issue for them. I just don't see this happening, because I think baseball, the people that are in there to make the decisions, are just happy with the way it is. Like, I think they maybe can try to fix something like the Dodgers, but also like the Pirates and other teams like the Marlins don't care. So I would say Fugazi for those reasons.
And our guy Scott, he says there's more creative ways for the MLB than the hard salary cap. Take away more picks for going over, as an example. I think that's great. It sounds like you still have kind of the luxury tax brackets for some of those teams, and that might be enough of a deterrent for sure. So definitely a lot of creative ways that the MLB can do it. Let's see if they do it and can avoid a lockout. Next one, JT. Malik Willis will be the next Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield story.
I'm going to say Fugazi. And even though I said he was the QB1 of that draft class, I just feel like I'm saying Fugazi because he is nowhere near the prospect of those two guys. Like, you forget, Baker Mayfield won a Heisman Trophy. And, like, Sam Darnold was always in that conversation. Like, these were elite, like, blue-chip type quarterbacks. And we forget, like, Malik Willis had to transfer to Liberty to play. Like, he left the SEC. Like, it's not the same story. And as much as I want Malik Willis to be successful, let's be honest. Like, he had 2 good games in a Packers system that makes most quarterbacks look good. So I want him to prove me wrong. But if I'm going off of what I see right now, I don't think he'll have the trajectory to end up like those 2 guys.
I'm going to say forget about it. I mean, I know what you're saying about the whole Green Bay system and this and that. But let me tell you something. I watched that game against Baltimore. And that guy was balling.
I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong.
I mean, he did it on multiple occasions there. Like, I'm going to say forget about it, because we started to see it at points with Darnold and then Baker Mayfield, those 2 guys in Carolina, even Baker with the Rams, and then Darnold a little bit with the Vikings. And I think we started to see it with Malik. He got out of a bad situation in Tennessee. He's now learned behind obviously a franchise QB and from LaFleur, and I think he can take that. He can take that wherever he goes. So I'm still a believer in him. I would have liked to seen the Steelers draft him back then, but they didn't. But I'm going to go forget about it.
All right. Last one. Kevin Durant no longer moves the needle as a franchise player. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Yeah, forget about it. I mean, you don't see Houston on as much as you see LA, Golden State still, like Denver. I mean, he's fourth on that pecking order that I just named with actually he's fifth. He's behind LeBron, Luka, Jokic, Steph Curry, right? Like of those teams I named. Like he's behind Ant. Like
I'm about to say you ain't gonna hype up your Bills.
Well, I was just saying of the older guys, like Wemby, like he's behind Wemby. Like he doesn't move the needle as a franchise player because I don't really think he's a franchise player anymore, but he can still be a very big asset to a potential championship team. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. Forget about it. And I'll take it a step further. He didn't move the needle in Brooklyn, and he also didn't move the needle with the Suns. Like, this is just who he is. And look at the Rockets this year. Through 60 games, they're slightly behind pace from the record they had last year when they had those younger pieces that he was supposed to replace and, take them to the title run. Like, I just don't understand how people are saying Kevin Durant is a top 15 player all time, and his best work was as a mercenary for a Warriors dynasty that was already loaded before he got there. Like, that's his definition of moving the needle, is going to a loaded situation and thriving there. But every other place,
he helped them win, though. He helped them win, JT.
Some people argue they would have won without him, but
they did it the year before.
Any other place he's been where he has to be the guy, he has not moved the needle. So I'm going to say forget about it.
Scott here. Thanks for if I can get this to show. There we go. Ask Wizards fans if they'd want Durant, and there's your answer. Scott, no offense, the Wizard fans would take anybody. They were excited to get Anthony Davis, and I'm sorry to break it to you. He ain't the same Anthony Davis, and he ain't going to help you win any titles there. Trae Young, maybe he can catch it. Maybe he can get his mojo back. But listen, can't ask Wizards fans too many things because they might sign JT to a 10-day contract and sell out the place at this
point. After they see my medical chart.
All right. Well, thanks to all the fans and listeners out there. As always, we couldn't or wouldn't do it without you. And remember to please subscribe to us, JT and the Dawn All Sports Podcast, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. We can be found on all of the major platforms and wherever you find all of your other favorite podcasts. And remember to please subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. And also to, if you like what we do, leave us a 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. And also please follow us on social media. Our handle, JT and the Dawn. We can be found on Instagram, X, Facebook, and even TikTok. Right?
Yeah. You got it. Hey, I'm impressed with your social media.
I didn't know if we still had TikTok. I didn't know if we still had TikTok. You do any videos on it?
We everywhere, man. We everywhere.
We everywhere. We everywhere, as JT likes to say. All right, JT, a lot of fun there. Great episode as always, man. And until the next episode, see ya.
Peace.